Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today we're doing a demo of the Spectral Phaser Ableton rack. Been messing around with this for the past little bit, and I've had quite a bit of fun with it. There's a lot of really cool practical case uses for this, and I'm really excited to show you all what I've kind of found in my last little bit of playing around with it. So kind of the first thing I've got here is just a really straightforward demo of a saw wave using Serum, but you can use any synthesizer you like. Nothing fancy going on here. We just got saw wave with a little bit of unison. And here's what it sounds like without the spectral phaser. So again, nothing crazy, no bells and whistles. And the first thing I kind of discovered whenever I was working with this rack is just how much fun you can have just messing around with the dials, turning them going crazy. So here's a little demo of just some of the kind of weird, wacky, cool sounds that you can get just from playing around with some of these different dials without even knowing too much about what's going on with it. So kind of around here, we can get a pretty thick sound just from raising that L time dial. And as you can hear, that LFO amount gives it a little bit of a bubbly sound whenever you turn it up. Had a lot of fun with this one. Now with the LFO frequency dial, we can get kind of different varying and increasing rates with this, and you can get a pretty fast vibrating kind of sound, or you can leave it slow and get kind of a slow pulsing warble. So with this envelope modulation dial, we can get a little bit of a filtering effect, almost kind of like a comb filter kind of effect, where you can kind of hear the high end drop out at certain points and the low end drop out at other points. If we raise this fine dial, we can actually change the frequency at which it's kind of harmonizing with itself with that delay. And if you go a little bit beyond 0 hertz, you can just get a really cool detuned, almost unison effect. With this feedback dial, we can get a little bit of a high-pitched overtone that happens the higher we go with this. So that's just some really cool, great variations you can get on a simple saw wave. Imagine the kind of sounds you can get if you really played around with designing a complex waveform in Serum, or really just having a lot of fun sound designing with samples. And that kind of leads us to the next case use of this. So the second case use of this I found was in regards to just, again, very simple saw wave. And just got a single saw wave, no unison, no anything going on in Serum. Again, you can use any kind of synthesizer you'd like for this. And with this one, I kind of played around with automating that overtone that we spoke about previously. It's going to take you a second to find what frequency harmonizes exactly with what you're playing in your actual MIDI note. So just to kind of show how I found that, we started here with my fine a little bit up, going for that low warbling we were previously talking about, and turning this up a little bit. we can already hear a little bit of the craziness going on here. For right now, I'm going to kind of disable that automation. And just to show how I kind of stumbled on finding the right frequency, just had a single note kind of playing. And I'm just going to slowly turn that frequency dial until I find the tone to lock in on. So got a nice little kind of octave up sound here. Now, one of the really fun times I had with this was automating this feedback dial, that overtone, and giving it some kind of interesting pulses. And you can almost get some more dubstep and some more kind of future-based sounds out of this. So I'm going to re-enable this automation. And I'm going to show you what automation I actually put on this. And essentially all I've got happening is just that feedback dial turning up and down at different rhythms with different shapes. Let's give a listen to how that sounds. And again, with no spectral phaser, here's what that exact same thing sounds like. Pretty boring. That feedback dial adds a ton of fun for harmonizing with your own tones, especially adding some really cool rhythmic textures. So the next case use I found for it was in regards to utilizing it actually with some drum sounds just to get some really cool tonal variations on your drums. So the first kind of demo I have here is just how much fun you can have with this on a hi-hat. So just going to do a little bit of a play on the hi-hats without the spectral phaser. Super simple trap hi-hats, everyone's heard them, nothing crazy going on. So we turn on this spectral phaser, and I'm just going to A-B this so you can hear just the immediate tonal shift that we can get out of this. One of the ways I really had fun with this was automating this frequency dial. Listen to all the different tones and textures you can get out of just the frequency dial on a hi-hat. Already a lot of fun there. So the next kind of drum case use I found for this was adding it to a kick sound. And on this one, we've got just the amount, frequency, and the envelope modulation. All three can kind of give you different varying thick, wide kicks, small, kind of tight, punchy kicks. I'm just going to play around with those for a second and kind of show you what I discovered. So here's the kick without the spectral phaser. With it. So already a lot more knock to that kick. If I just adjust that envelope modulation, listen to all the different differences we can get. So a little bit more of a low rumble to that. A little bit of a kind of stockier, kind of thick kick right there. That amount also gives us a lot of tonal shaping. It's a really wide, kind of low, boomy, almost like a stomp kind of sound to your kick. And then if we go for that frequency, and again, with that one, you kind of want to have that LFO amount raise up at least a little bit. Great. So the last case use for drums that I was really having fun with was playing around with it on a snare. And there were so many different snare tones I got just from a really simple trap snare. So here it is without it. So already just having some fun and playing around with those same dials, that LFO amount, the frequency it's at. Get a little bit of a flange there. That envelope modulation. playing around with that frequency. Yeah, so out of those three, we can see that you can totally, completely transform a pretty boring sounding drum kit into some different tonal textures. So the last kind of demo that I have prepared for this is showing off one of my favorite case uses for it. And kind of this was the first thing that my brain jumped to immediately as soon as I got my hands on this, which was utilizing this in context with risers. So in here, I've got a really simple, just kind of build up drum loop, and I'll play that on its own. So super normal build up drum loop. Now here's that riser with zero spectral phaser on it. And here's that exact same riser with the spectral phaser on it. So you can hear how we get that pitch rising. We get that almost plane taking off kind of sound from it. It's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun, especially playing around with that frequency. You can almost get it to vibrate as it goes up. And all I've got is just some automation turning all of these dials up in unison along with this riser. Let's give that one more listen with the drum loop. Well, I had a ton of fun playing around with this Spectral Phaser. I hope you all will as well. There's so many creative case uses, and I've just barely begun to scratch the surface. I'm sure as soon as you all get your hands on it, that you'll have just as much fun as I have. Thanks so much, and have a great day.